So I'd like for you to tell me how it's legit that we have private companies running our prisons, literally with the incentive to make money to the point where they'll sue us, they'll sue the state, they'll sue the town if we don't put enough prisoners in jail. So if we do a good job and keep all of the crime off the streets, we're gonna get sued by these companies. Picture that pressure environment. Now do you see why that trickles down to the police and they're so enforceful and why they need your ID? That's step one to throwing you in prison. That's what this is all about. That's why it's all about, let me see your papers, right? We did another huge dig. Let me give you the quick results and another TTS.
Look at the sign on your local county jail. It has your county's name on it. It has your state's seal on it. But in 2026, those symbols are a lie. You are looking at a foreign embassy of corporate greed, and you are the one paying the rent. Right now, across this country, we are witnessing what the Minnesota Attorney General is calling an unconstitutional occupation. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a court filing. Under Operation Metro Surge, thousands of federal agents are flooding into local streets, not to make you safer, but to satisfy a contract. You see, the private equity firms and global REITs that own these facilities, companies like Geo Group and Core Civic, don't see criminals. They see occupancy units, and they have a fail-safe. It's called a bed quota clause. These contracts, signed by your representatives in rooms you weren't invited to, guarantee that these jails stay 90 to 100% full. If crime goes down, if your neighborhood actually gets safer, the company doesn't celebrate. They sue. They sue your state for lost profits because there aren't enough human beings in cages to meet their quarterly earnings report. Think about that. You are paying a peace penalty. Your tax dollars are being weaponized against your own safety because a safe city is a breach of contract for a billionaire in a different time zone. And don't be fooled by the American flags in their lobbies. These are publicly traded shells. Your local justice system is being managed by international investment funds and foreign entities like Serco and G4S. They have no skin in your community. They have no interest in your sovereignty. They are here for the harvest. They've turned your local police into delivery drivers for a global supply chain of incarceration. They've turned your constitution into a lease agreement. And they've turned your town into an occupied territory where the occupancy is the only thing that matters. The word on the street is that the jails are suing the states because they aren't keeping up with the occupancy. The word on the street is right. The house is empty, the bill is due, and they are coming for the raw material to fill the beds. Welcome to the invisible occupation. It's time to ask, who actually owns your city? Now, let's talk about the ghosts in the machine. Let's talk about how they steal your vote without ever touching a ballot box. In most of this country, when you are locked in a cage, you are legally transformed into a political phantom. Under the Census Bureau's usual residence rule, a rule the Bureau is still refusing to fix in 2026, you are no longer a resident of your home, your neighborhood, or your city. You are officially counted as a resident of the rural district where the private jail sits. This is prison gerrymandering, and it is a mathematical hack of American democracy. Think of a tiny rural town with a population of 2,000 people. Now drop a 5,000-bed private prison into its center. Overnight, that district's population grows by 5,000 residents. That town suddenly gets more state funding. It gets more seats in the legislature. It gets more weight in the halls of power. But here is the catch. The prisoners cannot vote. These are phantom constituents. They are human beings used as population padding to give rural pro-prison politicians an artificial boost in power. It is a literal transfer of political influence from the urban streets, where these people were taken, to the rural corridors where the corporations build their cages. It creates a cycle of rot that is impossible to break. The more people a politician helps lock up in their district, the more political power that politician gains. They aren't representing the people in the cells. They are representing the capacity of the cells. They are incentivized to fight every reform, block every early release, and protect every bed quota, because if those beds go empty, their political career disappears with the population count. While 19 states have fought back to end this theft, the rest are still running the scam. In states like Texas, Florida, and Mississippi, your representation is being diluted by a population that is legally silenced. They aren't just stealing years of people's lives, they are stealing the democratic voice of the communities they left behind. It's a system where the cage doesn't just hold a body, it holds a census count that keeps the machine running. You think you live in a one-person, one-vote democracy? Not as long as the phantoms are being used to balance the books. Phase 2 is complete. They've occupied your town. Now they've stolen your vote. You've seen the occupation. You've seen the political theft. Now look at the exit, or the lack of one. In the private prison economy of 2026, freedom isn't served. It's invoiced. Imagine you've finished your time. You walk to the gate, ready to start over. But as the door clicks shut behind you, they hand you a bill. This is pay to stay. In 48 states, the jail can charge you for the cost of your own cage. Sometimes $50, sometimes $100 every single day. You walk out with $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in incarceration debt. It's a debt you can't pay because with a record and no credit, you can't get a job. And because you can't get a job, you can't get a house. In some counties, if you miss a payment on your prison rent, they put out a warrant. You go back to jail for the crime of being unable to pay for your last stay. It is the perfect closed-loop system. The company gets paid by the state to hold you, and then they bill you for the privilege of being held. But what if they hurt you while you're inside? What if the medical care, provided by private equity-backed giants like WellPath or Corazon, is so shoddy you leave with a permanent disability, or you don't leave at all? That's where they perform the Texas two-step. As we saw throughout 2024 and 2025, these companies use a legal loophole to split into two. They put all their profits and contracts into a clean company and dump all the medical neglect lawsuits into a death company. Then, they file for bankruptcy for the shell, wiping out thousands of claims for pennies on the dollar. The families of the dead get nothing. The company, under a new name like YesCare or Teham, keeps the multi-million-dollar contracts and moves on to the next county. It's a system designed to ensure that once you enter the orbit of the private justice industry, you never truly leave. You are either a unit in a bed, a phantom on a census map, or a debtor on a balance sheet. The jails are suing the states for empty beds. The medical companies are dancing through bankruptcy courts to avoid accountability, and the bill is being sent to you, the taxpayer and the target. This isn't justice. This is a harvest. And as long as there is a profit in the pulse of a prisoner, the machine will never stop. Phase 3 is over. The cycle is complete. Who's next?